Leke Alder is one of Nigeria's most respected figures in branding, strategy, policy, and business. He is the founder and principal of Alder Consulting, Nigeria's premier creative intelligence organization with offices in Lagos and London. Over the years, Leke Alder has advised on critical policy formulation for the federal government of Nigeria, working closely with ministries such as Information and Communication, Education, Foreign Affairs, and Solid Minerals Development. He is a trusted advisor in the global business landscape and has represented Nigeria on the world stage, serving on the board of the Nigeria Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative (NETI) and playing a pivotal role in Nigeria's hosting of the World Economic Forum on Africa. Leke Alder's thought leadership has been sought at some of the world's most prestigious forums, including Harvard Business School, Wharton Business School, and Kellogg School of Management. Leke Alder is an accomplished author and philanthropist. He supports 9 orphanages through his Leke Alder Foundation and has provided food aid, medical finance, and scholarships to over 150,000 individuals. Leke Alder's contributions span diverse fields, yet his work is unified by a commitment to empowering people and promoting excellence in leadership. Coming up now, ladies and gentlemen, is our next speaker at the Excellence in Leadership Conference ELC 2024, Leke Alder.
Thank you. Thank you. Can you hear me? Please be seated. Please be seated. Thank you to all those who prayed for me and are still praying for me, I hope. Now, we're talking about leadership this morning, and one of the most difficult things in my line of work is definition. But for you to understand what I'm going to be doing today, I want to teach leadership from a backward perspective, word opposite that perspective. So if I tell you white, what do you think I'm talking about? Okay, now can somebody from our school, one school, I want a very tall lady from a school and a very small man from a school. Trust me, he was taller than I was in school. Okay. Okay. It's unfair, isn't it? Okay. Now, he reminds me of me when I was in school. Do you know what a satire is? You know what a satire is? Can I have the definition of satire? It's a way of criticizing people or ideas in a humorous way, especially in order to make a political point or a piece of writing. Writing uses this style. So I'm going to be speaking in satire, okay? Now, if I say, what's your name?
Joshua.
Joshua. If I say Joshua is so tall, he married a short woman, what will you say that is? It's satire. It's irony, isn't it? Satire. Okay, what's your name?
Testimony.
Testimony. You shall bear testimony today. Okay. What's your name?
Realton.
Now, if I say Realton is so short, she's not as tall as Testimony, what will you say? Satire. Isn't that so? What's your name?
Samuel.
Samuel. That's my name. That's Dr. Sam's name as well. How much are you going to pay me for intellectual property? I came first, aren't I? How old are you?
15.
Oh my God. Okay. Now, is he so tall that he could... How are they going to kiss on the day of marriage? We're going to give him a stool, isn't it? Okay, so thank you all for... I just want to introduce you to Let's Say Satire. So look it up. Give them a round of applause.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So here I have, Mrs. Alder doesn't know this, but I stole Gary from the house. Can you see the Gary? Now, the reason is, just in case Pastor Leke is not around, and I'm left with Pastor Sam, he may not feed me. So I brought my Gary. Now, Gary is a rare commodity, and I'm going to use it to illustrate something to you. In when I was in secondary school, we used to call it barium sulfate. That's the formula on the screen. Okay? Now, there's a country. I'm going to start by giving you an illustration of a country, and I want you to just follow my reasoning. Remember, SATIRE what? SATIRE what? SATIRE, okay? So, there's a country in which, you see, this is a rare commodity. It's not grown all over the world. Is it? Okay, I'm not sure they grow it in China. Okay, I'm not sure they grow it in the US either. So it comes from Nigeria mainly. It's one of our most important export commodities. So it's a very rare commodity. Okay, now let me take water. Oh yeah, clap for me now. I'm taking water. I hope the cameraman captured the claps. If you don't, why? Please warn this man. He's looking at me when he should be looking at you so that my wife can give me cake. Okay. Now, there's a country where a lot of Gari is produced. It's called the Federal Republic of GARINJA. Hey, the title of this talk is The Innovative Leader, isn't that so? So if I'm going to speak to you and I'm going to take leadership position, I have to be innovative, don't I? So there's Federal Republic of GARINJA. Now, GARINJA is so rich in Gari, so rich, and mineral resources, at least 42 mineral resources in that country. I know some of you think you know the map of Africa, but I'm telling you the new map of Africa is approved by the UN. Now, even though there's a lot of Gari in that country, for some reason, 70 to 80% of the people are hungry. So there's plenty of Gari, but not everybody is fed. And the IMF, UN, all that trilateral relations countries are wondering what is the cause of hunger in GARINJA. They've tried everything since 1960, it's never worked. And the problem is that GARINJA is a country of contradictions. Okay? It's a democracy, but it's not a democracy because ballot boxes are snatched. It operates a federal system of government, but it's not a federal system of government. It's like unitary system of government. It's a capitalist economy, but it's a socialist economy as well. It is divided into regions, but they don't practice regionalism. In short, GARINJA is what? A paradox. The people of GARINJA are quite intelligent, and you can tell when you go there. But they are not community-wise. They're intelligent individually, but they can't organize themselves politically for the prosperity of all. But the reason that the World Bank, the IMF, and other international institutions cannot make sense of GARINJA is because they are not cognizant of the political ideology of GARINJA. You see, every nation has a political ideology. For US, it is capitalism. For Russia, it is communism. For China, it's communism/socialism. But for GARINJA, nobody knows what it is. Now, I've consulted far and wide. And the day I arrived in GARINJA and I interacted with people, I realized what the ideology was. And I was surprised that the UN and the IMF didn't know this simple thing. You see, the ideology of GARINJA is what we call Muluaism. How many people have been inside the Mulue? I thought you guys were going to pretend. I have never been in a Molue before. If I've ever been inside one, may God bless me. Now, a Molue is the name itself, practically conjures the train that is on the rail track and is Molueing everything. It's destroying everything in its way. And have you noticed, I know you've never been to GARINJA, have you? Now, what I noticed about Molue is that it is never panic beaten after an accident. So when you jam a Molue jams you, the driver says, don't worry, let each person go and repair his car. Of course, nobody is going to repair any Molue because Molue is never repaired. Isn't that so? So a Molue has an image problem. Okay? Now, a Molue is essentially a welded cabin of a Mercedes 911 truck to a fabricated fuselage of strange metal parts. It's designed to accommodate 70 bars. Fela Ransom Kuti said, or Adekunle Kuti said, it is 99 standing, 49 sitting. Now, there is no ticketing in Molue. So the passengers are trying to cheat the conductor is trying to cheat the passenger. And so passenger-conductor fights are very many. Now, sometimes, and this is based on training of the drivers, sometimes the driver, imagines himself as a pilot. So when he imagines himself as a pilot, he flies up Third Mainland Bridge. Molue is the original weapon of mass destruction. Now, here's another irony. Molues are painted yellow on the outside, even though it's dark within. So when you enter GARINJA, it's an ideology thing. When you enter GARINJA, it is dark within, but if you step out of the country, it's sometimes sunshine yellow. Which explains why GARINJites do very well abroad, but are stifled at home. Now, the question that we need to ask ourselves is, what is Molueism? Molueism is not an easy concept to define, but I can illustrate it to you, so let me illustrate it. Now, this is... Why are you guys laughing? Please clap for me now. Now, that artwork takes what it takes to embark on a Molue bus. This is what happens when demand far outstrips supply. I want you to note 5 things, just 5 things. I want you to look at the picture and listen to what I'm saying. Can you see the man going through the window? Yes. Okay, so write down the man going through the window. Now, can you see a woman splayed on the floor, on the ground? Yes. Did you see the oranges splayed on the ground? Yes. Okay, I'm going to tell you why. Can you see the pickpocket? Yes. The man in green is the pickpocket. Now, can you see the driver? Okay, so that is also important for you to note. Now, anytime you have an ideology, they are what you call maxims. And Molueism is not a stranger to maxims, okay? So I'm going to give you the 11 maxims of Molueism, and that will explain why there's a lot of Gari in GARINJA, but everybody is not felt. So 11 maxims. If you understand these 11 maxims, you'll understand leadership. And I want all of you to follow Molueism this afternoon. The first maxim of Molueism is impunity is legal. Oh, before we go too far, let me thank my daughter, Olamide, who did all the slides for me. And she's a brand consultant. Everybody in my family is a brand consultant or branding something. My father was, I am, my son is, my daughter is, my wife is. Okay. So the first maximum of Moloism is impunity is legal. Impunity is legal. It is illustrated by the man climbing into the bus through the window. Impunity knows no bounds, no limits. It is not interested in decorum. We see the culture of impunity during elections in GARINJA. Ballot boxes are snatched and destroyed in broad daylight. They don't even wait for the night. Local government secretariats are burned down when it doesn't go your way. A man once tried to stop collation of election results of presidential election results live on TV. Now, what impunity does is that it encourages thieves to steal more. And people are getting worried about the stealing in GARINJA. It's like the numbers are getting befuddling. In fact, don't let me say it yet. I'll tell you later. Some people even go to court in GARINJA to get a court order not to be. How do you get a court order not to be investigated by the police? You know, there are a lot of things that they take for granted in GARINJA, and the people are so used to it, it seems to be abnormal. Can you imagine a politician in England going to court to get an order that the Metropolitan Police should not investigate him? And he gets the order. So impunity is legal in GARINJA. Number 2, might is right. Indeed, might confers rights. This is why a big man can lock up someone in the police cell without any due process, without any charges. You're just locked up there. And when elections come, you bring your thugs, I bring my thugs. You bring your hoodlums, I bring my hoodlums. You rent the police, I rent Wumpo. You bring the Air Force, I bring Army. Might is right, might confers rights. The third maximum of Moloism is economic loss. Now, this is a bit wordy, and this is about economics. Economic loss or loss of productivity is never quantified at the national level. Economic loss of productivity is always quantified at the individual. Now, remember the woman who fell down in the Molue with the oranges spilled on the ground? Is it to the national purse or to her personal purse? Her personal purse. So, economic loss is never quantified at the national level. It's always quantified at the individual level. That is why, and you guys may have been wondering about this, that is why you can be in year 7, part 2 in the university. You know how it is when the lecturers go on strike, year after year after year. Is it a national loss or is it a personal loss? It's a personal, the economic value or loss of productivity is never quantified at the individual level. Okay? How many holidays do they have in GARINJA? Can you guess? Okay, so if a national holiday falls on weekend, what do you think they do? Do you see what I mean now? Economic loss is never quantified at the national level. It's always quantified at the what? Individual level. So the state doesn't compute those losses, because if you compute those losses, you're running to trillions of naira. So they love holidays in GARINJA. They even celebrate democracy twice. Twelfth slide. In Moloism, the quality of the driver is irrelevant, and it can be drunk. So I understand that in GARINJA they have about 270 universities. But no, the Constitution does not specify that a graduate should lead the country. It doesn't matter what your qualification is. In fact, you don't need to pass your WAEC, from what I learned about GARINJA. All you need to do is to sit for the exam. So you can have F parallel and become president. Now remember I told you that the Molo drivers can be drunk. Now in GARINJA, when the drivers are waiting for embarkation, when people are embarking, the driver sits with the ogogoro seller and gets drunk. Okay? So, because that driver can become president, what now happens is what we call policy incoherence. So you can go to bed one night and be a legitimate importer of furniture and wake up the next morning and you have been banned. And while you are setting up factories to locally manufacture, what happens? They unban you again. So there's policy incoherence. because the driver of Molue is allowed to take Ogogoro. Number 5. In Molueism, national image is irrelevant. This is typified by the battered Molue buses. Molues are never panel beaten. National identity, see, let me explain. If you've been traveling and you get to an international border, you see the American. It's almost like you say, hey, this is me, American, this is my passport, and they say, okay, pass through. Then a British person comes, say, oh, I know you, please pass through. Then a GARINJA, it comes, step aside. So you are guilty until you prove your innocence. So because of the policy incoherence, the young people are Japaning. Number 6. In Molueism, vision doesn't matter. After all, Molue buses have the avid lights. So nobody can ask where the Molue is going, especially in the night. Navigation is by intuition. In fact, it is illegal for you to ask what the vision of the country is. Does anybody know the vision of GARINJA? Okay, number 7. I'm teaching you Molueism, the ideology. In Molueism, there's no maintenance culture, but there's maintenance budget. None of the Gari processing factories work. So they import Gari. In fact, there's fight over importation of Gari now. Number 8. In Molueism, metrics don't matter. Molues have no dashboard. When they have dashboards, it never works. So the driver doesn't know at what speed he's going. He doesn't know whether there's oil. He doesn't know whether there's petrol. Nobody around the world knows the population of GARINJA because there's no gauge. Nobody knows how many children are born per year. In fact, let me tell you, nobody knows how much Gari is produced in GARINJA in a year. So what they do is that they just use guesswork. Because if you don't have statistics, how can you plan? So if you have so many children that are being born, then you know you have to invest in what? Secondary schools, primary schools, and things like that. Isn't that so? As these children are growing, what do? You invest in power. Because there's going to be more power consumption. Isn't that so? Yes. So it's so important. Statistics is so important, but in GARINJA, metrics do not matter in Molueism. Okay? Now, in Molueism, religion is critical. Which is why, now you guys don't know this, but the state finances pilgrimages in GARINJA, even if the people are not asking for it. As long as the people are going on pilgrimage, they will continue to ask God for what they should be asking their government. And sometimes the elected representatives have deemed the principles of God. They want the village people to come and be begging them for what is rightfully theirs. So who is God? The politicians are smart. I understand, I have not verified this myself because I've never seen it. I understand that they visit churches and mosques every 4 years or so to procure prayers and secure votes. They know religious people feel very honored with their presence. They also know that the people have short memories. They don't remember the promises made by God, not to talk of politicians. They are too hungry, and hunger affects memory. still talking about miracles. Listen. 40 billion GARINJites. 40 billion, that's the money in GARINJA. It's called GARINJite. 40 billion miraculously turned into a goat. And you guys don't believe in miracles. Now, fire has also been known to God. Say a fire visits a public building. It doesn't visit the reception. It doesn't visit the MC's office. It doesn't visit the CEO's office. It goes straight to the accounts department. I have been a Christian since 1981. I have never seen that kind of miracle in my life. God of GARINJA. Number 10. In Moluism, life must be made hard for the citizens. In fact, on the coat of arms of GARINJA, his life must be hard. You see, when you make life hard, it will make the citizens to appreciate government. And so when you're applying for passport, it must be hard. You want to sit for exam, it must be hard. To get driving license, it must be hard. I didn't say so, you said so. In fact, to vote during elections, can anybody convince me why we shouldn't be voting on our phones? We do all our money transfers on phone, don't we? Yes. We check our health on phone, don't we? Yes. What don't we even worship God on phone, don't we? Yes. But we cannot vote on. Who told you that we don't worship God on phone? We do now. Some of us don't go to church on Sunday and we put on our phone and we see Pastor Sam preaching. And so we worship God on phone. The only thing that we cannot do on phone is vote. Now let me talk to the 30-something-year-olds here. If you are 30 and below, or just 30-something-year-olds, see, the future of GARINJA lies in your hands. And if you don't demand voting by phone, you are going to be robbed of your constitutional rights. Because why are you spending a whole day at the polling booth when you can just spend 5 minutes? And why can't the results be collated live? I should set up centers where collation. The same way, isn't Twitter live? If you like Twitter, what happens? You are seeing the results live. Yes. So why can't we go to Elon Musk and ask him, how do we configure this so that as we are all voting, everybody can see the votes live? How is it possible? How is it? And I'm planting very dangerous ideas. Because if you don't, the gerontocracies are going to keep on robbing you of your rights. Most of these people became leaders in government at the age of 30-something. Go through Nigeria's history. I'm 60. And people older than me are still controlling things. Whereas the young people constitute the majority of the country, how does it make sense that they're not represented in government? But I'm not saying anything. You know, the miracle of GARINJA is that total number of voters, number of votes cast can be double the number of registered voters. You guys believe in God. There is God, though. In fact, I make bold to say that what God cannot do, now, because life is made out for the citizens, what happens on the road? There's road rage. You see people that deliberately want to bash people's cars and in anger and everything. Do you think those people are normal? It's not normal. They should go for counseling and psychological tests. So there are a lot of mad people in GARINJA. And here it is. The fight is GARINJA. Because of all this hardship, the fight in GARINJA is so much that people even fight inside Molue. So, can you come forward? Be quick so that Mrs. Please clap for me. Do you know how to fight in a Molwe? No. This man doesn't know how to fight in a Molwe. Okay, let me tell you how it starts. You don't see anything, you say, open the window. You shut the window. Isn't that so? Then what do I say? Do you know who I am? I witnessed one, and I'm telling you the truth in God. The guy said, do you know who I am? The other guy said, who are you? And the guy responded, let me tell you, my brother is a medical doctor at Tinkan. Okay. So in Molweism, we're still learning the ideology. You've learned capitalism, you learned socialism, you learned communism. So you are learning Molweism, okay? Okay. In Molweism, moral values don't matter. And history does not matter. Children cannot be taught moral values and history in school. In this way, there's no yardstick of measuring the character of criminals. And because the people have no idea of history, they don't know where they're coming from. This ensures that the people keep on voting the wrong people into power. So the people suffer memory loss. So when somebody has put them through horrors, they revote the person continuously, right? Because they have short-term memory loss. Do you understand? Okay. So now that you have the 11 maxims of GARINJA, let's try and define what leadership is in GARINJA. And let me explain to you so that you don't think that what I'm saying is strange. You've never been to GARINJA, have you? No. Okay. Now, in trying to define leadership, don't listen to what Dr. Sam says to you. He doesn't understand leadership. I know he has a PhD in it, but he doesn't understand it. Okay, now this is how you arrive at definition of leadership. Now, GARINJA used a dictionary called word opposite. So in GARINJA, okay, that's what we call GARINJAtionary. Okay? Now, bad is what? Backward is what? Divisive is what? Unity. Cheating is what? Smartness. A 4199 is a social influencer. Indeed, the excessive and auctioneering way of senators is poor pay. And band A means band C, and band C means band A. Unitarianism is federalism. A godfather means father governor. So the difference between Dr. Sam's definition of leadership and GARINJA's definition of leadership is that he sees leadership as service. In GARINJA, leadership is defined by power. You understand? You don't need to have moral values. You don't need to have any of those things. Just be in power. And so in GARINJA, a leader, I'm giving you the right definition now. I told you, don't listen to Dr. Sam. In GARINJA, and I want to read from the dictionary now. A leader is someone with no moral scruples, who leverages power and the accoutrements of power to oppress the people and selflessly appropriate their heritage. He lies constantly, makes vague promises, is only concerned about himself, his family, friends, and acolytes, and establishes stolen money in a foreign bank account. That is the definition of a leader in GARINJA. Now, if you ask for the definition of leadership in, say, England or America or Singapore, they'll probably translate you that leadership translates vision into reality, and that a leader is an inspirational figure who, through personal example, influences, guides, and inspires a collective for the good of all and generations yet unborn. Let me read that again. A leader is an inspirational figure who, through personal example, influences, guides, and inspires a collective for the good of all and for generations yet unborn. Now, this is the international definition of leadership, but it's not used in GARINJA. It's used in Dubai. And Dubai has shown us that it doesn't really take much. In GARINJA, they built the National Stadium for a certain amount, which is the same amount that was used to build the world's tallest building. And we have seen that it is possible to transform a nation in a generation. It doesn't need to take 100 years. Dubai did it in less than 100 years. In fact, the first time I went to Dubai, I saw the bus stops had air conditioners. I came back sad. What is troubling me is that in GARINJA, they waste the lives of youths in installments of 4 years. So their hope is raised up 4th year, then it's dashed the next year until the 4th year again, then it's waste. They just waste their lives in 4 years. Installments. Calculate your age and divide it by 4. And you see the level of waste. You can plot your graph. So assuming that we leave GARINJA and we come to the real world, the world of Dr. Samadiemi. Now you can mind him now. I want to say there are several principles of leadership. The first one is rule of law. Everyone is subject to the same laws, including those who make the laws. No one is above the law. You have to lead by example. You cannot exempt yourself from the rules and expect others to follow the rules. Now, when I'm talking leadership, I'm not talking national leadership or church leadership. I'm talking leadership in all ramifications. Family, home, office, community, youth, church, political, pastoral, whatever form of leadership, there must be rule of law. We must know where. That's why God gave the 10 Commandments. It's not a sin until you break the law. Isn't that so? Okay, so there must be rule of law. Number 2, there must be nobility. You don't use your position to oppress people. Now, look at what my daughter has done now. Yes, she's canceling GARINJA maxims and superimposing Dr. Sam's maxims. You're not getting out of my cake. So number 2, mobility. You do not use your position to oppress people. You are honest and you have integrity. You understand people you are leading and take them into consideration when you make decisions. Number 3, accountability. You understand what it means to be accountable for your decisions and actions. Now go and study the history of banking in GARINJA. A lot of the banks that failed was because there was no accountability at the top. So there was a lot of insider trading, insider loan agreements, and all sorts of things. And what happens? The banks just got wrecked. You can't have a system that has no accountability and expect it to succeed. I don't care what it is, a small company, an SME, a corporation, a big organization, it won't work. What we will do is that you'll have individual sovereignty, where individuals become sovereign, and they block every other person. If you are working in the office and your desk is it's a bottleneck, you are a GARINJite. Okay? You understand accountability and foster growth, and you are an effective leader. To be an effective leader, you need to learn from your mistakes. You will make mistakes. There's no young man or woman who doesn't make mistakes. If you don't make mistakes in 40 years, your name must be Jesus. Number 4, qualification. You must be qualified for the position that you're undertaking. You don't promote yourself to incompetence. And if you're not what you say you are, what you need to be, then you go to school, you train yourself, you tutor yourself, you find a way of qualifying. But you see, the political power is so strong that when you take a decision at that level, it affects the lives of millions. So you can't afford to be ignorant. You ask people, I want to go into government. Do you understand economics? No. Do you understand sociology? No. So what exactly do you understand statistics? No. Do you understand philosophy? No. So what exactly do you know? I know how to win elections. Number 5, optics. How you present yourself and what others see is important. You do not create a false narrative about yourself. Let me explain. Please come out. The lady. Now only you. Lady. Okay. So this lady projects herself as something, say, in church. And then, what's your name, please?
Valada.
Valada. I've never heard of that kind of name. Are you sure it's your real name?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this lady comes to church, and she's the epitome of virtue. But then you go home, and it's the opposite. That dissonance gap between what is and what is projected is a lot of trouble and heartache. Whoever marries such a person is in trouble. Because you are marrying the worker in church, you are not marrying the lady at home. And there is trouble. Do you understand? So leadership cannot have a dissonance gap. Even though that is what is preached in GARINJA. You can't be one thing and be a thief. You can't be a leader and a thief at the same time. They are irreconcilable factors. But in GARINJA, everything is so abnormal that everything is now normal. That abnormal is now normal. And normal is abnormal. Do you understand? Yes, thank you so much, Valada. I'm grateful. Number 6, you have to have vision. A vision of a roadmap is a roadmap for where you want to go. If you have a vision, if you have no vision, you are simply going around in the no man's land. And in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. What happens when everybody is blind, but everybody thinks that somebody has one eye? Once you have articulated the vision, you must work towards it to achieve it. Number 7, morality matters. You understand the difference between right and wrong. You do the right thing. You have values and you abide by them. You enforce them. You spurn corruption. You value honesty. You are straightforward. You do not deal in moral ambiguities. It's not, it's not really black and white. There are 356 shades of gray. You understand? There can't be moral ambiguity. There must be objective definition of something. When Jesus came, he said, I am the truth. In other words, I'm the objective definition of what is true. But if he says, I'm a truth, then you have your truth, I have my truth, Jesus has his truth. So that's relativism of truth. Isn't that so? But in leadership, there should be no moral ambiguity. That's what they have in Singapore. And that's what transformed that country from a backward economy into a first world economy. So what are the factors militating against leadership? I just want to reel those off so that you can understand, and then I will go and sit down. The first factor that militates against leadership for young men and women is fear of success. There are those who are afraid of success. The second one is fear of exposure. You like your privacy so much, you don't want to be investigated, you don't want to be spoken about, you don't want to be tweeted about. You can't be a leader and not have that. Number 3, fear of inadequacy. Number 4, fear of accountability. Number 5, fear of death. They will kill me. And then low self-esteem. And lastly, imposter syndrome. When you think everybody is better than you, and you are the only one who is not good. So, the big question I want to ask is, in your home, in your business, in your profession, which leadership model do you subscribe to? GARINJA or international? I want to thank you so much for listening. God bless.